Okay, welcome back to another video. What I'm doing here is I'm walking into one shop just for some cinematic drama, and then when we are here, we're in a different shop. That was just a little Hollywood movie making stuff. I wanted to introduce the Carolina shoes. This is a chunk of aluminum, 1 inch thick, 18 by 18 inches that I got on McMaster car. And I'm making a license plate die. Obviously, you know what that is. And I've never done this. I need to make a positive and a negative. I wanted to keep everything on the CNC machine at the same time so I could reference one while I'm working on the other. And I figured I would cut them apart after. And I'm taking slow steps, and I'm doing each different phase of the cut one at a time so I don't really lose my place, because I couldn't get my mind around it. But a typical fashion, I knew I needed to do these two parts. So I was like, well, I know I need to at least do this, so let me do this. And I started experimenting with putting the logo in, and that is a bit from Tools Today. That bit is 132, and the tip broke off because I was running it too fast, but I went and ground the tip flat, and I kept using it. And as long as I do a ramp end cut, I'm able to get in there. So both of those cuts took a tremendous amount of time, maybe over an hour and a half, 2 hours each. The Carolina individually, then the DIRESTA. And now I jumped through time and I did the negative Carolina and DIRESTA there, you see. And I just put a box around them. If you understand Vectrix, you know how you can just section off different pieces with a border and then cut inside that border, and that's what I did. And so that's why the Carolina and the DIRESTA are on the core side of the mold. That goes inside of this part of the mold. I did in sections because it would have just taken way too long. And so one pops inside of the other with an offset of about 15 thousandths, which should have been more. It should have been about 20 thousandths, which is why I get cutting. When you see, I ultimately take this and cut it. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, aluminum and brass act like a hardwood. You can you can cause a problem. You can sorry, I just got a phone call. You can cause a problem to your tools if you're not using oil or if you're going too fast, but it's definitely not like steel. So what you see me doing there is making registration pins. I drilled through one side, through where they needed to be where the license plate is. Even though that fits inside of one another, I wanted to have a registration so that it always landed the same exact way. And by doing putting those 2/4 inch pins in there, I'm able to get that registration that I want. And off camera, I CA glued them into the bottom die, so that's why you'll notice it slips perfectly into both dies right now, but as the video goes on, it doesn't pull out of the bottom die, and that's primarily because it was CA glued in. And these plates I get on Amazon. I was just Googling Amazon one night, and I was like, I wonder if they have plates online, and they were there, and that was the beginning of this project. Now, let's see what we're doing now. And this is a press from Coal Iron Forge. Sorry, I'm texting and doing a voiceover at the same time. The worst possible thing I could do. So this is from a 25-ton press from the guys over at Coal Iron Forge. This is the very first one. You see how it's cutting. I have different parts of the die interacting with each other, and they shouldn't be. And so I take it over to the Bridgeport. Thankfully, the biggest problem I had was on the edge. If I had it in the letters, I probably would have been up Schitt's Creek without paddles. I do have a little bit of cutting in the letters, but nothing I couldn't solve with a file, and I could still file some more. But the biggest problem was on the straights on each edge. So that's why I take the core and I trim them both back on both long sides. And that basically solved the big problem I had, which was the border cutting off. The letters still cut a little bit, and I just got a die plate that's 1 millimeter thick. I just got it in the mail. I'm going to try that and see if that softens the mold. But I have most of these cuts were done, all these cuts that you see in this video were done on a 0.5 millimeter thick plate. Got it on Amazon. And these plates I will sell through the Carolina shoes. It's going to be a gift with purchase. And they're going to be announcing more when and how. And the video shows me using, again, here I'm just experimenting. Each time I'm adjusting more and getting better results as I go. And you see, this is a second or third one. And you see it's still a little cockeyed, and obviously the letters are cut through. Almost all the letters cut through a little bit. They were cutting through less and less. And so now here I'm on a bit of a roll, and the plates are coming out better and better each time. As soon as when I know they pop right out, then I know that it was a good thing. When it gets cut and forced into some of the crevices and stays stuck in there, then I know I have a cut somewhere, a deep cut. Anyway, the more you use this tool, the more it will keep softening. And here, right there, boom, smashed my phone screen. You can't really see, but right now I look at it and I go, oh, there you go. You can kind of see the sun going through the face of my phone there, the clouds. It is completely smashed. I have a new phone right now, by the way. And so yeah, just rocking and rolling. Once I cut my stride, you could see the sun shining through the cuts on the right side of all the letters there. But it was cracking less and less as I made more of them. So that instead of jumping in there and trying to fix it, I just figured I'd let it wear out. And you see, this thing ultimately worked great. I want to make a motorcycle size one. That's going to be the next, probably off camera, because you guys are watching the process right now. It's not going to look any different, smaller. And spray painting the Carolina yellow. This is a lot of fun, And now I'm using the sticky stick-ons. You call this. I'm using vinyl cuts. And this particular color here, you see the very first black that I happen to use, was thick. So it wasn't wrapping around the letters themselves too well. In a couple of minutes, you see me use a high gloss black, which most people wouldn't know the difference unless I pointed it out, especially on the camera is what I mean. Now the impressions of the smaller letters weren't perfect, but they look good. They look good for camera. They weren't very perfect. And I found by offsetting the black a little bit, it made it all together look better. So if you notice, the black is a little offset from the impression, just so you could see the impression. Otherwise, I'm covering it totally up with black. And again, this is the first bit of black. The second bit of black I found was high gloss and thinner. And so it wrapped over better. And I'm just using the Silhouette program. This I got on Amazon. I don't know, it was $100, maybe less. This is a vinyl cutter. And for a real piece of junk that it is, it never doesn't work. It just feels so inadequate as an object. It's like when you see printers in the garbage all the time and you think to yourself, oh, that really has no value whatsoever. That's what this machine feels like, but it works amazing. And it's obviously not an endorsement. I just like the machine. I shit talk it for 5 minutes and say it's great. But you see how that vinyl wraps a little bit better over the letters. You can see how it's thinner. You can see the dust through it. And so now this is my big reveal. And I made, for this video, 5, 6 plates. What you see right there is all I did. And now this is a little fun me and Brett had. We set the camera up right there, and then I backed out of that shot and then turned the car around and drove away from the camera. Thanks for watching.